What if I told you a truck driver cracked the code to building a crypto empire? Meet Bitcoin Ben. He went from driving 18-wheelers to creating 6 different ways for regular people to stack Bitcoin and build wealth. This isn't just another crypto course. This is a complete ecosystem where you earn while you learn. First up, the confidential bulk purchase program. Get Bitcoin at wholesale prices through group buying power. Then there's Home to HODL. Convert your home equity directly into Bitcoin instead of cash. Need funding? The Loans for Bitcoin program gets you the capital to buy more crypto. Want passive income? Private Key Capital puts your Bitcoin to work. Hungry for something different? Bitcoin Ben's tokenized beef lets you invest in real cattle backed by blockchain technology. And if you want to mine? Bitcoin Ben's mining program gets you started with the right equipment and knowledge. But here's the kicker. Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club pays you to learn. Earn 10% on direct referrals, 5% on second level, 2% on third level. This might be the only membership where you make more than you pay. Ben went from 10 years behind the wheel to becoming the world's most unlikely crypto expert. Now he's sharing everything through live training, community events, and proven systems that work. Ready to stop watching from the sidelines? Join Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club today and start stacking sats while building your financial future. Your truck driving days are over. Your crypto empire starts now.
Good morning. Good morning to everybody. Welcome to the Bitcoin Thursdays with Dr. J. I'm Dr. J, and I'm here in my hotel room in lovely El Salvador, this beautiful land where the future is being written. I'll tell you what, guys, this little country is doing very big things. There's a financial revolution, with Bitcoin underway. New ways of doing business is being sculpted in real time. And yet on another frontier, a new global mining war is being ignited. This future is bright. So this is not going to be just another podcast. I'm going to give you a little bit of a glimpse behind the curtain and see what this is all about. So this week, some of you may have read or heard that President Trump and President Bukele signed a reciprocal trade agreement. Now, there are lots of treaties that get done between countries, and treaties come and go. But I think this one's different. It's different because I read it. You see, behind all the pharmaceutical access and automotive standards and tariff reductions on El Salvadorian goods, there's a much deeper message in what is being done. See, El Salvador is stepping on to the global stage, not as a spectator, but as a partner of the United States. And I can't overemphasize how important that is. I mean, we as Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club, and with Ben's vision, we decided to make investments in this country, a couple of years ago, long before all of this was happening. But what is absolutely delightful to see is how this transformation is happening right before our eyes. El Salvador, of course, agreed to open up its markets with simplified regulations. We talked to Ambassador Mayorga. They're opening up investor friendly type of policies that are aligned with US standards, which means we from the United States can now plow in capital into El Salvador with both hands because there is a policy framework that gives us benefit. There are structures in place that safeguard our investments. And as the US agrees to lift tariffs on the El Salvadorian goods, it gives this little country a direct access into the world's largest of markets. So that means money is going to be generated and economic development is going to continue to happen in El Salvador. So the real story is not about this trade agreement. The real story here, that the sense that I'm feeling sitting here in my hotel room, is that President Bukele has just done this absolutely masterful strategic plan. You see, he is playing the long game, a game that most US leaders, honestly, are too timid to play. They're too compromised to even attempt. While Washington is roiled in what Jeffrey Epstein said or did not say, El Salvador was cleaning up its streets, dismantling all of the gangs, sending tens of thousands of criminals into CCOT, the most secure prison in the Americas. Frankly, the same prison system that is helping us out get all the Trandiagua people out of the United States, cleaning up our streets and sending them over to El Salvador. That's a strategic relationship. And for the first time in 40 years, El Salvadorian people are walking the streets at night with no worries. What I'm trying to tell you is that El Salvador is becoming what I would characterize as a high trust society, a society where people, it was amazing. It was amazing. I went to lunch yesterday. I was in the office, our private key capital office, and I go out to lunch to get a cup of coffee. And there's this little cafe down the road where people come, they park their scooters and motorcycles right in front, and they leave their keys right in the scooters. And I just thought to myself, we used to have a world like that. It was a high trust society. But imagine doing that in New York or Chicago. Your scooter and motorcycle is going to be gone in 30 seconds. Over here, they leave their scooters and they walk in and have their coffee and croissants. This is a high trust society because there are strong norms. There's a social cohesion. There's culture. There's shared values. When I look at the political landscape, President Bukele has a 91% approval. I think Putin comes in second at 78, and then Modi from India at like 72%. People are proud to be El Salvadorians. Heck, I'm proud to be an El Salvadorian. I'm applying for residency here. So I love this. I love this country. And there's a sense of honesty. I go to the malls, which is, I'm in this hotel room, right? You know what? I should just show you what it looks like. I can talk about it, but I need you to see it. I'm just going to pick up my computer and take you to my balcony so that you can actually see what a high trust, high growth country looks like. This is not cows walking in a pasture. Let me just walk you out and give you my little tour from my balcony here. This is my balcony, right? And it's noisy here, but this is El Salvador, right? It's booming. It's growing. There are all these malls in front, beautiful buildings. That, by the way, is the Google building right there. They're gorgeous buildings. The malls are clean. Nobody's trying to take away your purse. Nobody is destroying the beautiful objects kept there. It's clean as a whistle. This is El Salvador right here. A beautiful country of mountains and modernity meeting right here in this little place. So I just wanted to give you a sense of it because this is where we are investing. Right? This is Panama 20 years ago. This is Costa Rica 10 years ago, right? This is what's happening. Look, I have eyes on. I go to Houston and Chicago and New York, and I see cities in decay. And then I come to places like San Salvador, and what I see with my own eyes is this transformation taking place. And this transformation takes place because it is becoming a high trust society. It's taking the steps for transparency, adopting Bitcoin, both public transparency and private transparency. I see so much social cohesion. There's a sense of culture. There is a sense of pride. And by the way, it is, in the beginning, it kind of looks strange to see guys, law enforcement at every street corner. President Bukele has cleaned up the gangs. I mean, we got guys with whatever, AK-47 standing on the street corners in uniform because it keeps law enforcement. It lets men and women walk freely in the society without fear of their stuff being taken away. It's growth, it's economic stability, it's social stability. So I wanted to give you a sense of what El Salvador is, why we are investing here, and why we will continue to invest deeply into this country is because it is a trust society that's growing extremely fast. And it is growing, and it's almost leapfrogging the entire last 30, 40 years. See, it's not going through the quote-unquote industrial revolution. It's directly going into the Bitcoin and AI world. It is leapfrogging over the traditional trajectory that you'd see societies take. And why is that important? Why does the US need that relationship? We need it not for trade. It's a small country. We need it for our own stability. You see, we are entering an election cycle where I believe that immigration is going to be the defining issue of our times. J.D. Vance said the other day there are 23 million illegals who just walked across the border during that moron Biden's administration, that auto pen administration. And here's the truth. No CNN, ABC, or anyone else on Fox wants to say this out aloud. El Salvador has become the most important immigration partner the US has, because not only Bukele's crackdown reduces the migration pressure, it creates a blueprint. It creates a blueprint of how to contain that type of immigration before it reaches our borders. The era of speeches means nothing at this point. Action is what he's taking. Action is what President Trump is now taking with Tom Homan. But El Salvador is a petri dish. It has actually already cleaned up. It has cleaned up its immigration problem. It's cleaned up its drug problem. It's cleaned up its crime problem. And let's give credit where credit is due. From this smallest of nations has come the clearest of visions. They adopted Bitcoin. They cleaned up their gangs. They have a high trust society. They're on a growth path. Economic activity is going to thrive. Social norms and values and culture. Culture is important. Culture is what binds people. From this young president comes this bold, courageous vision. He just went and bought, I think, millions and millions of dollars worth of NVIDIA B300 chips so that he can have a high-performance computing center. He's building his own Oak Ridge. Some of you may remember how important Oak Ridge was through the years to the United States development. He who has the computing power wins. He's investing into that. He has put someone beautiful and intelligent and articulate as Ambassador Milena Mayorga into Washington. She's the face of El Salvador in the United States. She's in the White House. She's talking about what El Salvador is doing. And this once forgotten corner of Latin America and Central America is fast becoming a new model of security, a new model of governance with transparency, and of course, a new model of monetary innovation. And this is where we come in, right? El Salvador, cheers to you. But Bitcoin banking, Bitcoin credit union, this is how El Salvador will really start to reshape both its trade, its security, and it's going to be doing something far more radical than cleaning up the streets or having good border policies or having economic growth. El Salvador, I believe, is where we will be reinventing banking. Not theoretically, not conceptually, but physically, on-chain, with code, in real time, with Bitcoin. Now, I've had the privilege, I'd even say the responsibility, of helping build one of the very first native Bitcoin credit unions, prototypes, right here in El Salvador. And you all need to understand how fundamental this is. This is not, hey, we got another wallet. This is, you are storing Bitcoin in a bank, in a credit union, in a regulated financial institution in native Bitcoin. When I go in El Salvador, from the little papusa lady to the store that sells pasta, I can literally take my Lightning wallet and pay them in Bitcoin. They don't really care whether Bitcoin went up or down today. It's just the way we pay for food. It's the way we pay for services. So the idea of having and building the first native Bitcoin bank, building the first native Bitcoin credit union that takes Bitcoin as a store of value, this is really powerful because it is a blueprint that the United States is going to take. And in a few years from now, as we start to get our Clarity Act and Genius Act together, what we are going to see is this prototype is going to be replicated. See, a nation can adopt Bitcoin, but it doesn't happen overnight. A government can pass acts and Bitcoin laws, but banking has deep arteries into the financial infrastructure. They move slowly, like tectonic plates. Banking is slow and heavy and relentless. El Salvador is already undergoing that metamorphosis. It is becoming modern. It is becoming digital. It's becoming centralized, decentralized. And I believe it will become tokenized. Real world assets will get tokenized here first. But the reality is that the old world still exists. We still need to file permits. Man, am I going through that process right now? I have to go for interviews with the Minister of Digital Assets because we have already filed all our paperwork, but we have to be physically interviewed where they're going to ask us questions about how we do our AML and KYC and how our node runs and how do we secure that the Bitcoin is. So we are a very regulated industry, but the process has started. So many of you are probably asking right now, hey guys, when can we start to deposit our Bitcoin into our credit union, our private key capital credit union? And the answer is very soon. I had hoped that the machine, the bureaucratic machine, would have worked faster. We are ready. We have already built the digital wallets. We have already done transactions. We have already run our multiple nodes. So from a technology side, we are ready to go. We are ready to go. All of the systems are in place. The SOPs have been written. The last piece is it's taking more time because there's a lot of companies who have filed for the digital asset permit, right? Digital asset permit. And they're just backed up. They're just backed up because it's new. This is called growing pains. We have followed all the processes. We're just waiting for the regulators to give us the last sign-off. They've given us the preliminary sign-off on everything else. There's the last sign-off. So we're achieving things that no one has done before. The moment we get that final sign off, we're going to be able to open up the floodgates, and you will be able to put your Bitcoin and get your Bitcoin yield and store your money as Bitcoin, yet keep your own keys. It's very, very exciting stuff that I've talked about before. We are achieving things that have never been achieved in the history of finance. There is no other country in the world right now that allows you to custody native Bitcoin except El Salvador. And the banks in El Salvador are too slow to move, like every other bank in the world. They are not the ones who can create innovation. They're not the ones who are going to adopt technology, and they're not the ones that are going to not embrace status quo. So that opens up the opportunity for companies like ours to come in, build code, be nimble, make fast moves, and create a technology that will change the history of finance. See, we built this distributed multi-sig Bitcoin treasury inside of a regulated financial institution. We did the world's first on-chain treasury transaction inside that credit union. This native Bitcoin framework will not only lead to digital capital, it's going to lead to digital credit, that little $100 trillion market. That's what I'm excited about. I visit El Salvador twice a month. What I'm seeing every time is growth. What I'm seeing every time is groundbreaking stuff happening, literally and figuratively. There's groundbreaking going on as high-rise buildings start to come, as beautiful skyscrapers get built, as beautiful apartment complexes and luxury resorts get built. It's slow. Sometimes it's maddening. But that is exactly how revolution happens. So now the plot thickens. Because of the United States passing the Clarity Act and the Genius Act pretty soon, those two are setting the foundation for digital assets to finally become legitimate financial instruments in a traditional banking world. And what do these acts define? If you read them, they talk about digital asset custody, something El Salvador has already done. They talk about stablecoin regulation. Wonder who the biggest stablecoin companies in the world is. A little company called Tether. There are over $200 billion worth of Tether transactions going on. Tether makes $13 billion in profits. There are 100 employees. It is the most efficient company in the world creating capital. Where are they headquartered now? Yep, right there. That tall building you saw in the back, that's where Tether is headquartered. That's where they run it. What else is the Genius Act talking about? They're talking about lending frameworks. That's exactly what digital credit is. You can lend and borrow against Bitcoin as an asset. We're already doing that in our credit union. There's Bitcoin-backed credit. And of course, the Clarity and Genius Act is talking about bank integration. We are already the world's first hybrid credit union that actually takes fiat and soon to be taking Bitcoin, both integrated into our general ledger system. So what you're seeing is the prototype we are building here, the model that we are testing here, the system that we are perfecting here. It's ready to scale in the United States. As soon as those laws are active, we will be able to buy a credit union right in the middle of Midland, Texas. We will be able to take the software code that we have written, that we own, that we developed from scratch, that there is no third party. It's our intellectual property. We can go and drop that, make a broken down credit union that we can buy pennies for the dollar, we can make that into a Bitcoin bank, and we can have Bitcoin capital, and we can have Bitcoin credit. El Salvador is the laboratory. America is the market. Bitcoin is the bridge. And yes, my friends, we are building the architecture for the next financial era. That's why I'm here, sitting in this little hotel room, marveling at the world around me, that every time I come, even if it's 15 or 20 days later, I see growth, I see innovation, and I see a thriving economy emerging out of the ashes of what was a little broken down country. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. Sherpa, if you could cue the ad, and I'll be right back after this.
For years, banks promised innovation, but they gave us fees and friction and fine prints. Today, all that changes. Introducing Private Key Bank from BitcoinBens Crypto Club, the world's first Bitcoin native credit union. Rebuilt from the ground up in the heart of El Salvador, a place where your Bitcoin isn't just stored, it grows. Earn 4% interest paid in Bitcoin, compounded, secured, and accessible. No middlemen, no hidden games, just your money working for you. Send funds across borders instantly, without SWIFT codes, without currency conversions. Pay anyone, anywhere, with a tap of a finger. This isn't banking as usual. This is freedom, beautifully engineered. The future of finance is finally here.
All righty, welcome back to the Thursdays, the Bitcoin Thursdays with Dr. J. I'm Dr. J. Now, let me drag you. This hat is too loose. I got to tighten it. Let me drag you into the underbelly of the Bitcoin beast that most people never see. You see, something astonishing is happening. Something astonishing happened last week. Saudi Arabia. You saw the king was with President Trump and Elon Musk at the White House. Saudi Arabia officially announced that it's entering the realm of Bitcoin mining. Now that was a shot heard across all of the world, because that signals the global hash rate wars are here. See, when a nation state with oil reserves larger than most small continents begin mining Bitcoin, that means we have entered a sovereign hash rate war. The US is already mining. Russia is mining. China is mining. They just don't tell you what they're doing. El Salvador is mining. We at the Bitcoin Men Crypto Club are mining. We have all these pools running. And people, please, we're starting our next pool. So by all means, reach out to Jody, my assistant, and get your name into the next pool. But now Saudi Arabia has joined the battlefield. This is no longer a hobby. This is full-on geopolitics. We are entering the realm of geopolitical disturbance, for lack of a better term. You see, because mining precedes price, always. Let me share with you something that I have learned over the last year, running mining rigs and operations in 6 different sites in 3 different countries. The traders don't understand this fully. See, mining investments lead to price movement. Every cycle, without exception. because miners are most committed capital allocators in Bitcoin, the most exposed to its long-term profitability, the first to see the macro signals and the earliest acts of conviction come from the miners. So when the hash rate increases of the entire network, what does it mean? What is happening? More energy is being converted into Bitcoin. It is being converted into Bitcoin because there is a belief of price being baked into a future value. Capital is being risked for the long-term upside. The increasing in mining difficulty isn't just noise, it's prophecy. It tells you what is coming. Because my thesis is that when miners expand, they're not betting on what the price movement is next week or even the next month. We're betting on the next era. See, every time I do the mining conferences, the mining pool conference, I tell you, we are in this for the long run. We are investors. We are long-term investors. We're playing the long game. And let me tell you, with actual data, why we are going to be on the right side of history. See, right now, the hash rate is exploding. The difficulty is climbing. Saudi Arabia is entering the arena. This is not just a lightweight entering the arena. They have more energy than anyone else. So if you're wondering where Bitcoin price is headed, and I know a lot of you are wondering, oh, gee, we hit 88,000, we hit 90,000. That's a whole lot less than the 120,000 we had. Follow the miners. They always move first. Okay? Most of the people are staring at charts. They're panicking over candles. They're panicking over YouTube videos that are talking about what they believe, what they think, what they imagine, what their crystal ball says about what the price is going to be. If you ask them what the price per kilowatt hour is for energy, they couldn't tell you if you handed them a prayer and a calculator in their hands. So if you want to know the real signal, the insider signal, I want you to watch the hash rate, because hash rate is the heartbeat of Bitcoin. It's a measure of all of the energy, all of the machinery, all of the capital that is being poured into this network to protect it, to solve transactions. See, hash rate moves first, price moves second, always. See, 3 years ago, in 2022, Bitcoin was still around that $17,000, $18,000 mark. Everyone at that point had declared it's dead again. Do you remember that? Most of you remember that. FTX and Sam and that Sam whatever was burning everything to the ground, contagion everywhere. There was a lot of fear in the streets. And yet, in the middle of all that panic, what was happening? Yep. The network hash rate was quietly climbing. At that time, it was about 250 exahashes. That was an all-time high, even while the price was drowning because of all these other factors. The miners are the real insiders. They were expanding into that bloodbath while retail was crying in the corner and the streets were flowing with blood. Then came 2023. Most of the world was still traumatized by the bear market. What about the miners? They were still writing checks. The hash rate didn't just inch upwards, it doubled from 250 exahashes to almost 500 exahashes in 2023. That's several $billion worth of hardware and cooling systems and energy contracts and real estate leases and substation cooling infrastructure deployed long before there was a price move. And only after that, Bitcoin surged from 17,000 to 30,000. And then it went to 40,000. Then it went to 60,000 and beyond. And then came 2024, the halving year, when the rewards went from 6.25 to 3 point whatever. What did the price do? The price teased the market, but the hash rate didn't hesitate for one moment. From that 500 exahashes, right by the midsummer of 2024, we went to 700 exahashes. Miners were betting that the future is long and that Wall Street would find courage. And 2025, for the first time, and this was, I think, in June of this year, we entered the era of Zeta hash. Over 100,000 tera exahashes. Zeta hash, very big, very big. We doubled our mining capacity. Guys, this is not speculation. This is not emotion about I feel Bitcoin will go up or Bitcoin will come down. This is not sentiment. This is actual infrastructure costs and effort that you can measure. See, investing in hash rate requires certainty, not hype. It requires certainty. When you go out and build a 150 megawatt power station, you're not mining, you're not creating that on a hunch. You're not signing a 10-year power purchase agreement on a hunch. You're not ordering 150,000 ASIC miners because you feel bullish over your cup of coffee that Bitcoin's going to do well. You don't negotiate 10-year power contracts because I got a feeling that Bitcoin might justify the investment. That's not how it works. Price is noise. Hash rate is commitment. Price can lie. It can change. Hash rate cannot. To me, I might be biased, and you'll hear a lot of things from a lot of people. But to me, the truest indication of long-term conviction for Bitcoin lies in my understanding of what the network has done and what the network continues to do. So if you're still doubting whether Bitcoin's going to go up, just step back, contemplate, think. Saudi Arabia is now stepping into the mining arena. This is an empire. What do you think is going to happen to the hash rates? When they enter this hash rate war, it's a major seismic shift in mining. So if you ask me where Bitcoin is going, where Bitcoin's price is going, I will not point you to the charts. I will not tell you how many more ETFs are adding funds or withdrawing funds, or what the macro forecast from some cartoon who doesn't know the first thing about coding sitting and talking about in one of the analyst conferences is doing. I will simply tell you, look at the hash rate. It's rising. It's a global energy conversion into digital gold. I'm telling you the truth. Miners already know where Bitcoin is headed. They have seen this future over the last 3 years. This price that you're looking at simply has to catch up. That's why I keep telling you, hash rate precedes price. This is going to happen. So have faith. Continue to be true Bitcoiners who love sovereignty, who love freedom, who are building something that is going to change the world. We're going to have all sorts of things happening based around Bitcoin. Space exploration. I mean, look at what Elon Musk is doing. They're going to be satellites that'll be mining Bitcoin in space, directly drawing power from the sun. We talk about quantum computing, and we talk about security of Bitcoin, and whether Grover algorithms will hold, whether the elliptical algorithms for your private keys will hold, whether we'll go from 256 to 512 to 1024 and make it. But guess what? There'll be private keys that'll be encrypted in your neural networks, into your implants, into biotissue. Your body will become a cold wallet. Your heartbeat will become the authentication. These things are coming. AI will run economies, not just the economic models. It'll run economies, entire digital cities, tokenized cities, populated by AI agents will run entire supply chains and treasuries and credit markets, all on Bitcoin rails. Think of those things. We're going to have Bitcoin-powered cities where mining is not just consuming energy. It's not just about flare gas. It's reorganizing civilization as we know it. It's going to be growing food for us. It's going to be powering autonomous communities. You see, Bitcoin is not just money. It's not just a chart. It's not just a speculative frenzy. It's actually a mirror. And I'm seeing that in El Salvador, right here behind me. It's a mirror because it shows nations who they truly are. It holds up the mirror in front of the banks and shows them what they fear. It shows us as individuals the cost of our dependence on the fiat system. It holds up in black and white what sovereignty means, what individual custody means. And for those of you who understand it, truly understand it, Bitcoin is not the future. It's a doorway to the future. It's a doorway that El Salvador is helping write one block at a time. It's a doorway that we as members of the Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club, as investors into private key capital, are forging. We are walking through that doorway. We are creating a new model. We are not trying to fix a broken model. We are creating a new society. We are creating a new country. We are creating a new type of autonomy that is really going to change the world. Step back. In this context, think of what the price of Bitcoin means. And you will have no fear in your heart to buy more on the dips, to hodl it, to invest into it, to get into mining, to get into sovereign banking, to get into buying all sorts of assets that are going to be the engine for the next new economy. The new economy that El Salvador is already leapfrogging into without going through the growing pains that many of the Western nations have. Trust your eyes. Trust your ears. Don't believe a word of what the media is telling you or what they're brainwashing you with. I'm trusting my eyes and ears. When I go to Chicago, I see a city that's dying, is decaying, it's rotting. They're homeless on the streets. There are syringes and needles on the sidewalks. There are playgrounds that don't have children. The birth rate is declining. A country being taken over by Islamics. Towns and counties are being lost. And then I come to my second home here in El Salvador, and I see the gangs are gone. The streets are clean. There is hope in the air. There is joy in what people are doing. There's pride in your country. We're adopting Bitcoin here. We're doing things. It's not to say, I don't love my country. What I'm telling you is, I'm seeing a model here that is evolving, that we can take back home, that we can learn from, and we can make our country great again. And President Trump is doing a kick-ass job. I love everything that's happening. I love everything that's happening in the healthcare side. RFK is actually transforming. We have got to be a healthier nation. And oh, by the way, speaking of healthier nation, another blueprint that's being created here. Texas Slim, my friend, and Steve Williams, they are actually here in El Salvador this week. They met with the Minister of Agriculture, Carlos, and El Salvador realizes that it needs to have its own sovereign food supply. And one of the things that President Bukele has done is to say that he's going to have his own beef cattle in El Salvador. Right now, El Salvador imports all of its beef from Guatemala, from Nicaragua, from Uruguay, and all of that food sovereignty depends on imports. And what President Bukele has said is we need to create sovereign food supply and a herd of cattle that are native to El Salvador. It has never had cowboys. It has never had cattle. So he has invested into us. We are partners in the Beef Initiative, the Beef Plus Bitcoin Initiative. He has invested and given us 50 acres of land that we are taking genetics from Texas. We're taking 5 heifers and 2 steers, 2 bulls, bringing those from Texas with the right kind of genetics for the right kind of soil samples that we have here, and prototyping a herd of cattle that'll be resilient, that'll be flavorful, that'll have high omega-3 and omega-6 ratios, which is very good proteins, very good nutritional value in that beef. And all of that is being played out over here. They have invested into us. Think about what is happening. While we are losing American farmers and ranchers and cattlemen, here this little country of El Salvador is starting to create a model and saying, nope, we need that cowboy culture. We need our own beef. We need independent ranchers. And why are we doing this? I'm doing this because next year our credit union is going to be financing and giving loans to independent ranchers and farmers to grow cattle. That's a $40 billion industry. We're going to be investing our credit union. As you put deposits and we give out loans, I'm going to allocate 25 to 30% of our deposits into agro banking. It is a fast growing sector. So if I get 100 Bitcoin deposit into the banks, that means we have $10 million in capital. We can issue out 8 million, 80% of that in loans, where we are making money with those loans and giving you guys yields back on your Bitcoin. So this is not just nice to have for El Salvador. This is how we're going to make money. We're going to allocate a portfolio of our loan portfolio to agro banking at Private Key Capital. A portion of it is going to go towards real estate. As new buildings and new structures and new homes and new apartments get built in El Salvador, we're going to lend out into that market. We're going to lend into tourism markets. We're going to lend for building more hotels. Those are the areas that I'm going to focus our credit union into, so that we are specializing in certain vertical areas. So bottom line is that we have a place in El Salvador which can be a prototype. But we're going to learn from here, and we're going to take it back home, and we're going to make the U.S. great. And we're going to scale in the United States. All of the things that we are doing here have applicability and scalability in the United States. And we can be shaping the future of Bitcoin in the US because we have our roots here in this petri dish called El Salvador. Thank you for spending this time with me. I got to run over to the office and then take a flight home later this evening so I can see my wife and kids for a change. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you have a wonderful week coming up. Stay sharp, stay sovereign, stay free. God bless you, and God bless America. Sherpa, take it away.
Your Bitcoin's sitting idle. Time to make it work. Private Key Capital, the world's first fully Bitcoin-backed financial institution, lets you earn 4% APY on your Bitcoin. Enjoy Bitcoin savings accounts, secure custody, Bitcoin-backed loans, fiat on-off ramps, and exclusive member benefits. This is crypto banking reimagined. Early members get the best rates. Join Private Key Capital today and start earning 4%.